Hey guys, this is Stephen Boatman, CFP, Certified Financial Planner out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I wanted to talk you through, is it better to buy or rent a house? It is more complicated than just being a financial decision. I understand that there's a lot of emotions behind it. If you have a family or if you're married, the pressure to buy a home would be more so than if you're single. But we're just going to talk through the financials of it today. And if you have any questions, feel free to just leave a little comment and I'll make a new video or I'll just reply to you on there. But there's this good calculator on here I like a lot with the New York Times. I think it's like $5 a month subscription fee to get access to this, but we can walk through it. And this is great. It takes into account kind of all these different variables. So we'll just do one example. We'll assume you're buying a house for $500,000. We'll say comparable rent's $2,000 a month. Assume, I think the average stay in a home in the US is 7 years. Mortgage rate, let's call it 6%. Say the down payment's 10. Not doing any crazy 30-year mortgage. Actually, let's do 20 just so we don't have to roll PMI. Property mortgage insurance is really just if your down payment is less than 20%, you'll have to pay some PMI. Future investment growth, home growth rate, I'm going to say 2% just because they've already gone up so much. It's hard to imagine them really exploding in the future. Rent growth rate, at least where I live, they're building a lot of apartments and it feels like that's lagging. It's not going down. Investment returns, 7.5%. Inflation rate, we'll leave it at 3. Some marginal tax rate. Closing costs, these are your real estate agent fees, your real estate attorney fees, all things like that. Most homes cost around 1% of their value per year just to maintain. This is your lawn care, your fixes, things like that. Homeowners insurance, extra utilities. Typically when you buy a home, you buy something larger than what you rent, so a little higher utility monthly rate there. These are the additional renter's costs. You have renter's insurance and security deposit. So you take all those variables into account, and renting is a much better option. Hypothetically saving you $174,000. Where's the break-even point? It's right in this little gray area. So let's grab this, move it on downtown. So comparable rent here is if you're looking at a $500,000 home, I would say in our current market, comparable rent is around $3,630 per month. That's when it's equal. And so what I like to think through is saying, okay, do I like where I live more? I know, pretty simple. If I am renting something for $3,600 per month or buying something for $500,000, because you're not really missing out on growth, right? If you don't buy the home, that down payment and the excess cash you're using over there, especially if you want to update bathrooms or kitchens or things like that, can become pretty expensive. And instead of that, you're not incentivized to reinvest back in the home so much. You can invest in other things, whether it's your business or a separate small business, stock market, or whatever it is you like to invest in. So I would say, where I live, I can rent something that I really like for $3,600 per month. And the homes for sale for $500,000, at least in Charlotte, North Carolina, aren't super attractive to me. And so I'd be more inclined to rent in this scenario. And then we can talk through, okay, how much money do you have to earn to even be thinking about those things, right? So there's a typical rule of thumb. You shouldn't spend more than 25 to 30% of your net income when you're thinking about shelter. And so what does that look like? So if you're making $170,000 per year, it's about $10,000 after taxes. You can see this federal, you got some FICA, so fun. So at 170 grand per year, let's say $3,000, $3,500 a month, that's a little unaffordable, right? We're breaking out of what we would consider an affordable housing expense if we're spending $3,600 per month and we're making $170K per year. Now, if we're making, $200,000 per year, then it goes up to, $12,000. That's a little better. That allows us to break into this $500,000 limit a bit more. But again, these are just really high incomes you need to buy these houses, right? There aren't a lot of people that make $200,000 more per year, especially in this starter home variability. So something to consider. That's an affordability metric I like to use when I'm looking at things. And then one more thing I want to show you is, where does that $3,600 come from? It feels like a lot of money when we're comparing buying a house. And the argument I always hear is at least you're building equity in your home, right? And so let's, assume same thing, $500,000. We'll bump this up to 20% like we did in the last example. And we'll go to the payment breakdown. So you see this payment breakdown of $27.93 per month. And that includes principal, interest, and homeowners insurance. Again, this is not accounting for maintenance expense, investment variability of taking your down payment and putting it somewhere else to grow, things like that. But just look at this amortization schedule. Great word, I know. So out of this monthly payment, $2,000 is just going to interest and being just gone to nothing, right? That is just your interest expense. That does not account for this property taxes and homeowners insurance, which is another $400. So $2,400 is just going to interest expense, not to mention the property taxes and homeowners insurance, not to mention real estate agent fees and everything else along with buying the house. It's easily 6 to 10% of the home purchase price gone just because the transactions are so expensive, right? And also this $100,000 that's in your house, it could be somewhere else earning money. Let's say it's just in T-bills. That's 3.5% return, 3.6%. So it's $3,500 a year you can earn off that, right around $300 a month that you could be earning off that $100,000 going in your back pocket. That's also part of this math problem. So I hope you found that helpful. I know there's a lot of moving variables when we're thinking through buying a house and what all to consider and think about. For most of my clients, renting makes more mathematical sense, but buying makes more emotional sense. And there's an emotional return there. So it's not saying to not buy a home if the rental numbers don't work out. It's just saying to be aware of what you're getting into, right? And also, let's say you put a really low down payment down. Housing markets don't always go up, regardless of what every real estate agent I know says. And so hypothetically, if it went down 5 or 10%, you may have to pay money to get out of your house. That can happen. I'm not saying it's going to at any point in the near future. I'm just saying it's possible. But yeah, I hope you found that helpful. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great week.